Morning, Jeromy. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Jeff?
I am well. What are we talking about today?
Well, I brought up a couple items. I think, obviously every time I come up here, I want to talk about some sort of fire safety thing. Nice mug, by the way.
Yeah, check that out. Nice North Mason Fire new coffee mug.
We got to talk about some fire prevention, fire stuff like that. But, we have the chili cook-off up here in Shelton, and I'd be remiss not to be a North End person saying how great of a event that was, hosted by Central Mason Fire in their stair climb, which actually happened last Sunday. Talking to them a little bit, they raised over $10,000 at that event for.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, for doing that. I know Mark's hopefully going to be coming in here and talking to you.
I gotta get him in to get the
update.
It is.
He and his team do a phenomenal job. And there was 9-10 chili entries.
Yeah,
and
they were all pretty good. Most of them were good.
Yeah. Well, I got to say it was better. It was better than pizza. I mean, that chili that was cooked there was better.
There were some really good ones.
It was just a phenomenal thing they did out here. So I got to talk a little bit about that. So my hat's off to Central Mason and number one, allowing me to come enter a chili contest on their home turf.
Yeah,
and
coming in there. I saw you coming in there like a bull in a china shop. All right, everybody, I got the best, and this is what it's going to do.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's nice to be humble too, right? Well, we got we got summer coming up now and spring cleaning. After we were just talking about the weather there, and it's going to be getting nicer and nicer, and as that happens, people want to do outdoor burning. So I thought it'd be what a great idea to talk about outdoor burning in Mason County today. And I'll be pretty generic because there's a lot of caveats to this. So my recommendation is make sure you check with your local fire district about how you can burn. But generically speaking, in Mason County, there's 3 different types of burning. And this is excluding the urban growth areas or, the city of Shelton. Those are usually no burn zones no matter what. In the Belfair urban growth area and the Allen urban growth area, you are allowed to have small, what they would call in the terms, recreational campfire. And that's seasoned, dry firewood in a small fire pit to make s'mores or roast hot dogs, something like that. Really, really dry wood and design almost like you would at a campfire or a campground, that type of. Where we kind of get a little bit confused is outside of the urban growth area, they allow you to have what they call residential burning. And that's somebody has some land and they trim all their trees and they have all the tree trimmings of their leaves or their yard debris. And you could have those fires in the non-urban growth area, and those are up to 4x4, and there's kind of some restrictions on how far away if you need to be from fences, houses, structures, other trees, defensible areas, that you have to have water on site. But those usually allowed up to 4x4, and it has to be the material that you cut and take off of your land. You can't be doing a land clearing fire, clearing 5 acres and burning it 4 feet by 4 feet at a time.
Sure.
This is a yard debris fire, and I think most everybody knows what I'm talking about there. You just the common stuff that you're cleaning up your yard. You could burn that. Now there's some restrictions. You need to be 50 feet away from a structure. You need to have water on site. You have to have vertical clearance of 20 feet.
What kind of water? I'm sorry. What kind of water on site? A hose or a bucket?
Hose or bucket. What the definition says is the capable means to put it out. So a hose works, a fire works. It all depends on your fire. If you have a really smoking hot fire and you have a water bottle, that's probably not appropriate.
Sure.
So you need to make sure you size that to the fire size that you're going to use.
Okay.
So campfires, like we talked about earlier, the recreational fires that you have, the smaller ones, usually a 5-gallon bucket of water's plenty of water. A 5-gallon bucket and a shovel works wonderful.
Okay, so the shovel, that is for after, so you pour the water on the fire and then you kind of stir it about. Is that how it works?
Yep. Get all the hot embers that are underneath, make almost like a ash soup out of it, if you will, and that will keep it cool. Because pouring water on a fire, it just causes the steam, and then 5 minutes later, usually the fire will rekindle.
Oh, okay.
If the fire is hot enough. So
Yeah.
that's what we see a lot of in the recreational fires. So there are some distances there, and then there's the land clearing burn, and that's the permittable burn that you could burn in Mason County if you're outside of those certain areas. And that requires a lot of extra things. An excavator on site. Usually a company is the one doing this for you. You have to have a lot bigger separation distance. You have to have water. After April 15th, you have to have a water truck on site or a water tank on site, something capable of actually putting the fire out, much like the fire department would. So again, those are permitted burns. Those are allowed through Mason County, and Mason County Building Department issues those permits. And they could go up to 20 feet by 20 feet. Again, all that material has to originate from the property. You can't have a property that you bring other stuff in, and that's your burn property. It has to originate on the scene. And then obviously, with kind of the exception of the small recreational fires that you have at home, to make s'mores for your kids and you're following all the rules. The other stuff we really encourage, this time and age, depending on where you live, put it in a truck and take it to a fiber company and get rid of it. I know in the north end they have two places, Allen Shear Trucking and North Basin Fiber. Took a trailer load there, and I think it cost me $10 for a dump trailer full of yard debris.
Oh, wow.
To dump at their facility. They want it, they use it, they mulch it up, and they make, beauty bark and stuff out of it. It's super cheap, and then you're not smoking up the whole neighborhood, which causes a lot of problems with your neighbors. I know, we get a lot of phone calls at the fire station, like, don't tell them it was me. And then the fire department responds out there and says, hey, one of your neighbors called, and they know exactly who it was.
Of course they know who it was.
If you want to be a good neighbor, now obviously, I got 15, 20 acres, like a lot of our places do in Mason County, 5-acre lots. That's a little bit different than burning in a residential neighborhood or outside the urban growth area. They still have residential neighborhoods, and people still do burn yard debris, and it can cause some problems. So
what about with the weather outside? It's still chilly at night. The highs kind of just in the 50s. Yesterday was an anomaly in the 70s.
Yeah, beautiful.
But when folks see, there was a week or so in February where it was really nice, and then yesterday it was really nice. So if people see the nice weather and they go, oh, time for some spring cleaning, and they get it done, but we're still in chilly conditions at night, does that impact the way the smoke goes, or are there any reasons why a early spring or a late winter burn would be really unacceptable? Look at bad news.
Yeah, so Mason County will put a burn ban on the summer, and it's usually due to dry fuel conditions or dry ground conditions. Olympic Air Pollution Control Authority, they kind of oversee the whole state, and they'll put a burn ban on because of the smoke quality or the air quality. And that, what you just described there, is kind of that perfect example of that inversion layer. It comes in, and there's no real rain. But the fog comes in and just pushes that smoke down and keeps the smoke in the area, and really permeates that throughout the neighborhoods. And you'll see that Orca will say no burning, or level 1 burn ban, or you can't burn unless it's your only source of heat. Those all apply to these fires that I'm talking about. So you could have a land clearing burn. It could be 100% permitted through Mason County, but Orca could say, you know what, the air quality outside is just not the right conditions right now. You can't burn. And the permit actually makes you call Orca and make know if their burn ban's on. Same with recreational and same with residential burning. If Orca puts a burn ban on because of the conditions you just described, you can't burn.
Okay, so they're the top, and then it kind of filters down. Interesting.
And they're protecting the air quality, not so much the spread of the fire, if you will. And that becomes an educational component in the summertime, because sometimes we'll have a burn ban on, and then we'll lift it, and sometime around October, and Orca will say, well, the air quality's just not quite good enough, or all the wildland fires that made the air quality really bad last summer.
Yeah.
Even though they lifted the burn ban, Orca still said, we're not going to let you burn for another week or two, and they're really protecting the air quality for the people that have respiratory problems.
We sprung forward this past weekend, so people changing batteries, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. This is very important.
You got to do it. Got to do it. And we talk about it every time we come on, Jeff, and I think it's on my checkbox. Go change your smoke detector. I don't want to say do it now because hopefully there's people on their way to work or at work, but
make a note.
Yeah, make a note. Go check your smoke detector, the 9-volt batteries. I know up north, and I guarantee they do the same thing in the south. McClendon's Hardware does something in kind of the October months where they do when you go the other direction, where they'll do a battery exchange. Go in and buy a couple 9-volts. They're cheap. If you need a 9-volt, stop by our fire station up in North Mason Regional Fire Authority. We'll give you the batteries. If you cannot, and this is my other thing, do not climb ladders. If you cannot climb a ladder.
Sure.
And I don't want, we'll say that for our more seasoned listeners. I don't want to say the other one.
Yeah, I got
but
it.
The seasoned listeners, the ones that have been around here for a while, if you can't climb a ladder, or your kids have stolen your ladder and hid it from you, which happens all the time, call the fire department, right. And we will come, especially for those high smoke detectors. We're more than happy to come put new batteries in your smoke detectors for you. All of our ambulances and fire trucks carry batteries on them, so if they're in the houses and you see them, or you see them at the store and you need a battery, just ask them for a battery. They'll give them to you. If your smoke detector is over 10 years old, it needs to be replaced anyway, so time to look for new smoke detectors. Carbon monoxides have a 5-year life on them. The nice thing about the technology, when they developed carbon monoxide, their battery low indicator is part of their technology. So that will, like, smoke detectors will do it, but the battery life is just, okay, all of a sudden the voltage is so low. The carbon monoxide detector will actually go, okay, you get within an acceptable range of how this thing should operate and how long it should beep for, and that's not working anymore. Your battery needs to be replaced, and it will start beeping at you. So the carbon monoxide detectors, will start alarming about 50% of battery life. We still recommend changing them at the same time you're changing your smoke detector batteries, but they make, especially for me, they make great remote batteries. Once you change the battery, put them in the remote, and the remote will work forever.
And on placement of the carbon monoxide detectors, do they have to be up high? Can they be low to the ground to make for easy change, or does it matter?
So that's a tricky question. They make a couple different types of carbon monoxide detectors. Some plug into the wall, some are mounted up high, and they even make combination smoke detector carbon monoxide detectors. And carbon monoxide goes off parts per million, so it really depends on how that specific detector reads the parts per million. So you have to look at your specifications. Most of carbon monoxide detectors are mounted at a 4 to kind of 5 foot range on the wall, with the exception of the ones that are the combination detectors, or the ones that plug into the wall. So they are easy to get to. Unfortunately, I don't think they've really got together yet and figured out the battery, kind of like the cell phone situation with the plug-ins. Carbon monoxide typically takes AA batteries, and smoke detectors typically take the 9-volt battery. So you can't just remember that when you go to the store, that you're probably going to end up buying a couple different types of batteries to do this.
Funny. Jeromy Hicks from the North Mason Regional Fire Authority. We'll leave it there for this visit, my friend, and come back in a couple weeks or so, see what else is going on.